Hello, good evening and welcome to The Probe. I'm Carlos Caloni. We are live on DSTV, Channel 421, Go TV 125, and Joy 99.7 FM and Love 99.5 FM. We are also streaming live on all our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and X at Joy News on TV. Around the world, we are on myjoyonline.com. Now to tonight's big question. Can apology to the clergy and imams, amnesty for suspended party members, or an olive branch to aggrieved supporters heal the deep wounds left by the NPP's crushing 2024 defeat? A defeat that former flag bearer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia blamed on, quote, the high cost of living and the arrogance of power. Take a listen to him explaining what led to the humiliating defeat.
So far, the big issues are one, cost of living. Niema bo ekosoro ahochiri ebai. The kanu eye adia yefreno arrogance of power. Expresse yasu na eyeti yasu edi. Yentie asem party for country say yenye reshuffle and yes sir 8 years yantie and yes sir party for country say yempe e11 no ebe ha dwen. The Tosomiansa Party for country say haircuts no debt restructure no DDEP. Somewhat in answer. Say sad debt restructuring no a bit hard because most of them are pensioners. And Omapenibe announced said there will be no haircut. Some okay. Ghana for in ING. But a buyer no, ye be ye haircut. We so share a buy ye tuya napco bium, na ye tuya afforestation for bium, hatred so ye tuya. And also share regions be brave, said the General Secretary Kanye no. Ye votes no, do on the war no. Ya nye juma be brave ho.
So that was the former flag bearer of the NPP highlighting some of the key reasons why he believes the party lost the 2024 general election. But the NPP General Secretary, Justin Kodia, believes he has the cure for what arrogance that the former flag bearer was talking about. A formal apology to the clergy and imams the party neglected during its 8 years in power. Take a listen.
Yes, in 2016. I saw for Imam for a most original party. The movie was 8 years, young come with you. And then now, what's the other most of the no party now with Jaya, your quiet young Pananaso, near Panacho. But founding member Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo himself, arguably under suspension, disagrees. He is demanding a more radical solution: the immediate resignation of the party's leadership.
I have said that the party present leadership, if I had been in their shoes, they should all have resigned by now and give way to people who will manage the party properly. Not people who came into the party because of personal interest. Not people who came into the party to acquire wealth and property. And indeed, the present leadership of the party cannot, and I repeat, cannot reorganize the party.
Well, that's his opinion. But let's give you a sense of some notable members who have been suspended by the party over the years. And you see that picture there. I believe you know this face. He's Paul Awentame Afoko. He's a former NPP chairman. Why was he suspended? He was suspended in 2015 after accusations by some party supporters of working against NPP flag bearers' chances of winning the 2016 election. That was Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. There you have another person who arguably has also been suspended, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. He is actually a founding member of the NPP. And he was allegedly suspended in 2016 for undermining the peace and unity of the party. And here's a popular face, Alan Kojo Tramanten. He is a former NPP, flag bearer aspirant, but he resigned not long ago, just in 2023, for presidential ambitions as an independent candidate. And another popular face, Dr. Amwako Ba, he is a political scientist. He's a former member of the party. He also resigned in 2025, citing that the NPP leadership failed to connect with ordinary supporters of the party. And another face, Apiakubi Bedu, he is a former NPP parliamentary candidate for Sefi Akotombra, and he also resigned just this year, 2025, and he's been accusing the NPP leadership for years of neglect and mistreatment. And another member, Awelenga Simon, he's a Brekum West deputy organizer of the NPP. He used to hold that position, but as it stands now, he has resigned in 2024 for personal reasons that we are yet to know. So these are just a number of people who have been, fired from the party and those who have actually resigned. Meanwhile, a former Asin Central MP, Kennedy Ejapon, is rather pushing a different agenda. He believes total amnesty for these people, these suspended members, and a big open invitation to break away figures, including Alan Tremantin. Take a listen.
Regional and national executives said, amnesty from Afoko, Alan, to everybody that has been suspended. Amnesty. Young Frau Homomra, Nian Kambo, say Yasa, the catch now. Ya suspended na nasi ya yinadu or ye or back or Mr. Four or number 4 or said the panel na omo and Twaba.
Well, you're still watching The Probe here on the Joy News channel. You are listening to it live also on Joy 99.7 FM. When I return, I'll introduce my guest and we zoom straight into the conversation. Please stay. Welcome back. Now, as the party embarks on a nationwide thank you tour, one major issue looms: the still secret Professor Mike Okwe Committee's report. Now, the NPP's leadership refusal to publish it raises real concerns. How will this secrecy impact efforts to heal, rebuild, and reclaim power in less than 4 years? Joining me in studio tonight is Dr. Alidu Sedu. He's a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science and Research Fellow at the Center for Asian Studies here in Accra University of Ghana. Joining via Zoom is a founding member of the NPP, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. Also, Mpraisu MP Davis Ansa Opoku. He's a vocal critic of the party's handling of the Mike Okwe report. And Richard Ahiagba is the NPP's Director of Communications, who have joined to have this conversation. You can also share your thought live via our social media handles at Joy News on TV. We'll delve into these matters and more shortly. Let me come to you, Alidu Sedu. The NPP's admission of arrogance and the high cost of living. What does it play? How does this play out in the political atmosphere? The fact that they want to rebuild the party.
Okay, thank you so much and good evening to your listeners. It's always important to find out the reasons why you lost an election. So I think the Professor Michael Quay committee was set up to do exactly that.
Right.
One of the things this can do is to, first of all, reduce tension in the party moving forward. So if the party base know that something is being done to get us back into power, it eases the concerns and then the challenges that the party face. Two, it also leads to assembling through participatory processes accurate narrative of what actually happened.
Right.
Because without an accurate narrative of what happened, it becomes very difficult to rebuild. So I think all this has been done. What I think is very important, so the state of the economy was one of the reasons why the NPP lost, arrogance of power. And you usually see it when the political party is able to do 2 terms. In the first term, they are very close to the electorate. They still feel that we may lose. When they go to their second term, they feel that we have arrived. And then maybe because we have always had 2 terms in the Second Republic, it's that once you're able to make it to the second term, it means that you have arrived completely. So at that time, you begin to see that a lot of party foot soldiers complain about party executives not picking their calls, CEOs of state institutions not picking their calls, ministers not picking their calls, MPs not picking their calls. So all these things are up. Even people who have suffered and voted for the party, most of them felt they were marginalized, they were not given appointment, and all those things. So problems that people face when they try to reach out to duty bearers, it becomes very difficult to assess them. And you often saw the kind of responses that sometimes government appointees usually give out to Ghanaians when they make a genuine claim about things or they need disclosure about issues. Sometimes the responses are not forthcoming, they are not respectful. So all those things add up to the whole concept of arrogance of power, right? But even within that context, you have the nature of the economy and how the economic performance globally may impact a local economy like Ghana, and the general performance of the government, the ability to implement policies that they have promised Ghanaians, the ability to do a whole lot of things.
But they did free SHS.
Yes, free SHS is just one of the several things that you can do to be able to get people vote for you. And mind you, the NPP didn't promise just free HSS. There were several other promises. So when you put all these things together, then you tend to see that it entails a lot. But from my own perspective, I believe one of the serious reasons why the NPP lost, one of the serious reasons why the loss was self-infliction. It was self-inflicted. It was internal. You tend to see that there was a lot of disagreement between maybe polling station agents and electoral area coordinators and constituency executive officers with DCs and PCs, constituency executives with regional executives with national executives. So I think one of the major things the party should be focusing now is internal reconciliation and rebuilding.
But exactly that's what they're doing.
It is very critical. What I do believe is that I think Honorable Kennedy made a point about reaching out to people who have been suspended, about reaching out to people who have been aggrieved. I was thinking that after the Professor Michael Quay committee, the next thing they will have done is to sit as a party and to build consensus, Especially they should have waited for maybe the other 11-member committee which has been set up to fashion out how this. So if that committee had finished their work and said, this is the blueprint, this is what we have agreed to do with these timelines, then the tour will have been very appropriate. So what they will have done, they will have been able to build consensus internally as to what to be done so that this thank you tour will have invited grassroots buy-in. So these are some of the issues that came up strongly in the Michael Quay committee, and this is how we seek to address it.
So you think that thank you tour at this time is not the most appropriate thing?
Yeah, I was thinking there should have been an internal consensus building strategy forward. So when you go, you don't rehearse the reasons why you lost to the people. You tell them what you're going to do about it. I was thinking that
from the thank you tour.
Yes, I think it's more about what we lost because of ABC. We lost because of ABC. I was thinking the message should have been, yes, we lost because of this, but this is what we're going to do. It should have been solution-driven. You invite buy-in from grassroots stakeholders and see how they can participate and own the process of reconciliation at the grassroots level.
Before I bring in the other guests, I want to find out this perception of arrogance of power as the party itself is putting it out. Do you think they can clean themselves from it?
So I think the arrogance of power thing It's usually throughout our fourth Republican democracy, especially when governments move from their first to second term. And we always say that in most cases, politicians don't learn because you tend to see it coming up strongly. But people also believe that that is one of the most reconciliatory things to say because we have seen, I haven't seen the report, I haven't read it,
right.
But we've seen excerpts, whether it was wrong or right, actually pointing blaming figures at individuals, right? If you really want to reconcile, I think it will be very important to desist from that accusing fingers and then speak to the generality of the issues, right? But I was thinking the in-house consensus building will have been able to address those things behind the scenes.
From where you sit, how do you look at it? The in-house consensus building, is it happening now as we speak?
So I'm not sure. I still believe that there's a committee that's set up to fashion out how this should be implemented. I'm not sure what they are doing, but I think it can be done concurrently with the tool. But I was thinking that there should have been a lot of healing first because there could be a possibility that the two people, part of the team that is going on with the former vice president and speaking to the people,
right.
One or two of them may not be speaking to each other, but they are sitting in the same bus. They are following the same campaign. Maybe when they go, they eat differently. You don't talk to each other. Then how do you build? Right. You can't build on these cracks.
So hold it there. Let me bring in Richard here, but maybe he'll be able to explain to us exactly what the party is doing. Like Dr. Alidu Sedu pointed out, you set up an 11-member committee to tell the party how to proceed. He believes that you are jumping that, and now you are on Thank You Thor. Why that?
Well, thank you very much, Carlos. Good evening to my father, who I see in red, and my boss and my HOD, Prof. Alidu, and then my senior OPK. Certainly, I mean, you can go at this in many different ways, many different permutations that can be imagined to address our laws and how we're building back. But I think that in the wisdom of National Council of our party, the tour is a necessary thing that ought to be done. Seeing that from a standpoint of appreciating the work that was put in, however adequate or inadequate, we couldn't win the elections, but there's a need to make a point that we appreciate that effort in the first place, and then also use that as occasion to touch on some of the issues that were the heart of our unfortunate loss, and also is giving occasion to re-energize the party base. I was at Takrady, Western region, all through the day. The 3 stops we made yesterday, you saw great energy, excitement. The party is alive and well. Even calls that I'm hearing, people are making requests that this perhaps ought to be including the polling station people as well. And so there's that desire. And the party, I can tell you from what I saw, that the New Patriotic Party is alive.
Right. So this arrogance of power and high cost of living, as alluded by the former flag bearer of the NPP, is captured in that report.
I'm unable to say if it's captured in the report or not, but these are matters that are manifest. And if you just do, you know, a little bit of looking and if anybody in Ghana paid attention to the conversations that we had throughout the elections, you saw that there were difficulties, and much of our proposition to the country was that we're building out of that difficulty. And so therefore the economic difficulty was fully acknowledged by the government and the party, and we're trying to address that forward by the propositions that were put forward to cure.
Which include what? The propositions, I'm interested in that. Is it the apology?
Yeah, I mean, if you saw our manifesto, all the ideas that we're putting across, a key one among them, you know, one of the key things people complained about was the taxation issue, where people thought that the tax regime was too burdening. And we made a proposal, part of our manifesto, that when we come, we're going to have to remove the e-levy associated with that, the COVID-19 levy, and a host of other, the betting levy was also part of what we're going to remove. So indeed, if we were the government of the day today, those taxes, those tax handles would have been gone.
Right. So at what point, let me cut you respectfully, at what point did you realize those things were going to cost you the election?
Well, you know, it's always been a manifest knowledge, you know, that taxation or taxes are always a sticky point in any republic, and we much, for example, the COVID-19, the e-levy, for example, was a necessity tax handle that was brought about because we had a difficulty that we needed to fix. And so we always knew that once we dig ourselves out of the difficult place, that tax handle was going to go. COVID-19, that tax handle was going to go, contributing to the economic hardship that people were experiencing. So we knew those things were going to have to go. So we knew in going into the election that the cost of living was high, and therefore we're going to address that going forward. So
now you don't have the power, and so you cannot really do anything about these taxes. What you can do will be bringing people back into the party, just as Kennedy Ejapon said. Are you, the party, bringing these people back? How are you going to do that?
You know, Carlos, I tell you, in all honesty, that it's a good call. And I think that the party has never taken a position that we will not welcome people back. We've always remained an open party. And in specific terms, looking at Alan, for example, there were one instance where he left the party and came back. The doors of the party are open, except that as an organization, there's a rule book governing our conduct. Our association with the party must not be at will. It's regulated by our constitution. And so therefore, when people fall foul of it, just as much as it is important to bring people in, it's important to discipline people.
So Alan will face some disciplinary measures when he returns to the party?
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that in order to regulate our association, there's a need for people to be disciplined. And so therefore our constitution provides for what makes me a continuous member of the party, what I do and what I must do. If I go against those, what sanctions can be brought. But it also allows for people to come back. And I think that it is for the good of the party that people abide by the rules, and where people have gone and come back, the party's door is open. So I think it's a very good call that Honorable Kennedy Ejapon has made. I don't think that the party is averse to taking steps in that direction.
There are two groups of people, those who voluntarily resigned from the party and those you suspended. So those you sacked, let me use that word, from the party, you want them back. Are you going to write to them? What are the steps?
I think that is a call that is made. Any decision along those lines, I think that would have to go through some deliberations. But I think as we speak, individuals who have been themselves left the party, I think that for reasons that are best known to them, if they feel that those reasons are no more there and are not as compelling, they can come back. I think the doors of the party is open. But especially the ones that were suspended, I don't believe in suspension of people. I believe in sanctions that are reformative in nature. And so I think that once the deliberation is had, I believe if the step would mean to write to people and let them understand to come back to the party, I think it's important to take that step. But let me just make this point. As far as I am concerned, once you are an NPP, you remain an NPP. Because the business of joining a political party, it's not whimsical. It is based on certain appreciation of the party's system or worldview, the core values of the party. So I am a member of the party. If I leave New Patriotic Party, I don't think I can join any party because it is the worldview of the party that draw me close to it. And I don't think that an alternative party...
We will look at those other legs. But let me bring in Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. He happens to be one of the founding members of the NPP. The last time we spoke to you, you were of the view that the current crop of leaders, I mean the executives of the NPP, cannot, rebuild the party. Now, we are beginning to see some signs that those of you who have been suspended or those of you who have resigned, they are taking the steps to bring you people back. That should be good news. Kindly unmute so we can hear you, Doc. Yeah, so we're trying to reconnect our lines to Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, who is a founding member of the NPP, who has allegedly allegedly been fired from the party, and he's been sharing his thoughts on the current executives of the party. Doc, if you can hear me, I was asking.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Great. So what do you make of the steps the executive of the NPP are taking currently to bring those they've suspended and those who have left the party back into the party fold?
I think what we have to look at carefully is that the ideals and principles that birth the party, that great political party, the NPP tradition, is no more at the moment. It's no more. Let's be frank. At the moment, what we have is a party that individuals are craving for wealth and property. And indeed, it's one of the reasons why we were defeated so severely in the last election. You can see that the party has totally detached itself from the masses. Now, if we claim that our followers didn't vote, what caused that? So first and foremost, I think what we have to do really is to make sure that we get the party together. We need to reclaim the soul of the party. And that is very serious.
How do you do that?
You can only do that when you have the right leadership. Like those who started the party, people who have the character like B.J. Darocha, Aaron Ponsa, J.H. Mensah. These were selfless people. We don't have them now. And let's be frank, people now join the party because they want to make money. That's what is happening. That is what, if we continue to go that line, definitely that party will be totally destroyed. That's why I call for the removal of the present leadership before we start doing anything at all. Because they took us into this sort of destruction, and they should not be those who will be responsible to get the party back on its feet.
You still believe the current crop of leadership of the party cannot bring that soul, the soul of the party back, even though we are seeing glimpses of what they're doing?
No, not at all. The present leadership cannot. And believe me, if we had a survey today, you can see that what I'm saying is correct.
Right.
The present leadership, they have totally lost control over the party. I mean, look at some of the statements that we have been making. They have been making. You ask yourself, is that NPP? No, it's not the NPP that I knew.
Well, what do you make of the suggestion that those who have been suspended from the party and those who voluntarily resign from the party should be brought back? What do you make of that?
That I have nothing against that. That is a move of a group of people, is an individual who is expressing his views. And that has not been, it's not a decision taken by the party itself at the moment. And somebody might be using that to sort of propagate its own objectives. That's the way I look at it.
Right. Hold
because,
for us.
Because
Yeah, you and your point, sir.
yeah, because let's take a man like Paul Afoko. Paul Afoko is still quiet. He's never made any statement since he was suspended. So that tells you that this is a true NPP man. If I wanted to resign from the party, I would have resigned. I have not resigned. So are the others. So you can see that there is the belief that the party is still alive. If the party is still alive, this time it must be led by people who believe in the principles of the party. This sort of money-making machine that they see the party should stop immediately.
Right, Doc.
That is not how the party started.
Great. So how would return of Afoko and Alan Tremantin actually help the rebuilding process from where you sit?
Well, this is a question that I think they will be the best to answer themselves, because it will be, for instance, Alan Tremantin, this is not the first time he's left the party. And then in the wisdom of the leadership, he was accepted when he came back. With Afoko, I think it's so painful because he went through a lot. Afoko went through a lot. And finally, when he won the elections, he was dismissed. And that is what is very un-MPP. We are a democratic institution, and we believe strongly that the individual has the right to express his or her views. And that is what is being denied by members of the party now. Now, the party looks at people who have got full pockets, who have got pockets full of money, and who can dish out money, and then they buy their positions, and they run the party. That is not what we want.
Great. Let me bring in Ansa Opoku Davis into the conversation. You have been writing against the decision of the party not to make the Michael Quay committee report public. But your general secretary is of the view that making that document public will be almost suicidal. I mean, you'll be shooting yourself in the foot because your opponents are going to feed on that. So, but you still believe that is not the best approach. Why? Kindly unmute so we hear you, sir.
Let me say a very good evening to our viewers, and especially to my father, Dr. Nyao Tamaklo, and my very good friend, the communications director of the New Patriotic Party. For me, I am not calling for a publication, for want of word, of the entire report to the general public. But you will agree with me. But in an election where we have lost this abysmally, I think it's important for us to gain the trust of the Ghanaian. I mean, there are reasons why 2.1 million people decided not to go and vote. I mean, if they had decided to even go and vote, where they were going to vote, I mean, you and I cannot decide. That would mean that even the 41% that we did would have gone down, or there would have been an improvement. So in order to restore that public trust, I think it's important that the executive summary or the recommendations of the committee is put out there. We have seen that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is making some claims. He's saying that there was arrogance of power. That may be as a result of his research that he's done. But if it's coming from the Professor Michael Quay's report, then I mean, someone can sit out there and say that Dr. Bawumia is engaged in conjecturing. And for me, it's not a posture that we would want to have as a party. So my thinking and my proposal is that put out there the executive summary that tells us what the report says, or the recommendations of the committee, that, okay, based on this, there was maybe arrogance of power, There was neglect of the grassroots. There's a need to reform the polling station structure of the NPP. Then based on that, when you are calling for party people to now bring recommendations, because mind you, the party issued a communique telling all party persons and organizations or groups within the party not to engage in any research, and that they have done that. And so it's only proper that you let us know what the report says, what the recommendations or reports are, what the executive summary of the report says.
Right.
We are not going into an election. We are not going into a 2024 election. We have lost a 2024 election by 41%. And so if we would want to correct the wrongs, if we want to regain public trust, if we want to build transparency, if we want to ensure that we are learning from the past, if we want to strengthen internal cohesion, it's important that we bring forth the report. I mean, we are able to tell Ghanaians that this is what the report says, and that as a party, even on this thank you talk, we are able to tell Ghanaians that, well, according to the Professor Michael Quay's report, this and this and this and this is what we did that the party or the Ghanaian people were not happy. And for that matter, we are apologizing for and on behalf of the party. That for me is a strong position to take. And based on that, you would get party people now bringing proposals to reform how the party looks moving forward.
So you think not making this public, especially to the party folks, will not help matters in rebuilding the party?
For me, that is my take. If you want to first of all prevent, we've seen the NDC flying what they call page 66, and always they will just put a quote out there and say that this is coming from page 66. They are engaged in propaganda. They are engaged in misinformation. The only way to cure misinformation is to want to put out there what the real facts are. I mean, what is it? That what there was a neglect between the government and the party. People know that what there was arrogance of power, as Dr. Baumia is saying. We sense that that at the point even members of parliament went to the extent of even telling the presidency to take out certain elements in government. We knew that. But once the facts are out there, once the research report is out there, then Ghanaians will say that, yes, this is a party that has learned its lessons. This is a party that is ready to tell Ghanaians that we are sorry. And this is a party that is ready to govern. Because you see, for 2.1 million people to decide that they were not going to go to the ballot to vote for either NDC or NPP means that these are persons who have somewhat confidence in the new patriotic party.
Right. So I think that point has been made. Do you believe in the current leadership to change things in the party? Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo disagrees that the current crop of leaders cannot rebuild the party.
Well, some of the elements in there, for me, I campaigned I went out there campaigning for them. And I believe that they have a mandate, and their mandate is just 4 years. Very soon, the party would open up for people to contest and would judge them. I will not use this medium to want to judge them and say that somebody is competent or otherwise. But I mean, to have gone from 137 parliamentary or 138 parliamentary to 88. And that is even parliamentary. For presidential, we lost up to 77. We only won in 77 constituencies, 276 constituencies. It's up to them to decide whether they have performed well or they have failed the party. I mean, that's the decision for them to take. And I'm not here. When the time gets there, as a voter, as a delegate in that election, I'm going to take a decision. But for me, what matters to me is how the party is structured getting to that point. I want a party that is open, a party that is transparent, a party that is able to gain the trust of the Ghanaian. That, for me, is the only way the NPP can come back in 2028. I'm sure that talking to any ordinary person on the streets, they'll tell you that when it comes to the management of the Ghanaian economy, the NPP are better placed than the NDC. And so what is it? That the Ghanaian would decide that...
You still believe that? You still believe that assertion? Because your own flag bearer said cost of living affected you. So if you indeed you were managing the economy well, I mean, cost of living should be better.
Well, when John Mahama took over in January 2025, cement was selling at about 80 Ghana cedis per bag. Today, cement is around 123 Ghana cedis. I mean, the cost of living for the ordinary person who is trying to put up a house, a building to lay his heads, will tell you that the cost of living is very high.
Right.
But I'm not too sure it's only the cost of living that people base on to vote for a particular party or a particular political candidate. So there are several reasons, and it's important that as a party, we look at the several factors and arrive at a decision.
Good point there. I'll bring in Dr. Alidu Seidu pretty shortly. But the apology and the bringing back those who have been suspended from the party, from where you sit, is it a way to go? Briefly.
Well, you see, it depends. I mean, the NPP is a very welcoming party. I, for one, supported Kwabena Japan. Kwabena Japan was never sacked from the NPP. He was taken off as general secretary of the party. He came back, supported Akufo-Addo in the 2020 elections. He was very key in the 2024 elections. I speak to Paul Afoko a lot, and I know that he's taking a back seat. And I know that my grandfather, Dr. Nyao Tamaklo, at the point the party said they are suspending him and all of that, but he still has the party at that. We need everybody on board getting into the 2028 elections. I mean, the experience and all of that. But you see, there are certain persons that it is not the doing of the party that led them to leave. I mean, they decided that they were going to form political parties, they were going to form other movements elsewhere. That it's a bit difficult. But you see, if we are able to get them, all of them, back to the fold of the party, if we're able to get them to join the NPP,
like Alan, for instance, he has a huge following.
Yes. I mean, if Alan comes back and even if Alan brings even his wife and his kids alone, that will add to the NPP winning the 2024 elections. And for me, the aim of every political party is to win political power, to be able to change or better the lives of the Ghanaian. And that is the aim. That is what I seek as an MP, and as a member of the NPP.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me bring in Dr. Alidu Seidu. With Dr. Bawumia admitting that the party suffered arrogance of power and all of that, some are saying he should also take some of the responsibility, and the party leadership should also take part of the responsibility. Is it a view you share?
Yeah, I think so. If you're talking about the whole concept of governance, we have collective responsibility and accountability. Even though on the ballot box there was His Excellency, the former Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, but he alone cannot win elections. It has to do with the entire party structure. When His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was in government, he alone wasn't governing. There was an entire government made up of party people and party sympathizers and other Ghanaians. So if one of them succeed, there is a collective praise and accountability for it. If one of them fails and the whole government falls down, they should be blamed entirely. So I think that you can't, that's why I say it's very dangerous to point accusing figures to individuals. Individuals might have acted in ways that didn't make people happy, that made people leave the party, or that made people not to vote for the party. But moving forward in rebuilding, I think it has to be collective responsibility, collective accountability, and then you build together.
But still, somebody needs to take responsibility at the party level or at the government level.
I agree, and that's why I believe the Michael Query report that we haven't seen might have apportioned blames accordingly, right? And internally, that was why I was talking about this whole concept of consensus building and then internal reconciliation. Yeah. I think that is where they can. I don't think they will bring this one to the public and let us know, oh, you did A, B, C, D, and for that matter, that should be internal. Okay. But externally, I think they should move forward as an institution, as a party, in unity, accept all the blame, and see how they can bring everybody on board moving forward to present a united front.
Right. Of course, if you watch social media commentary, a lot of the youth are saying the old folks should back off the party, you know, and hand over the running of the party to a more youthful leadership. Do you think at this point, people like the former president, for instance, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, should play a key role in rebuilding the party?
Yeah, I believe the NPP had a lot of youthful guys in government and even in their current crop of leadership. But I think you have to work together. There was a lot of disconnect and there was a lot of clash and there was a lot of disunity. People had offended a lot of people. People had stepped on the toes of people. So it's just about ironing out those differences. So I believe the future is for the youth. And I believe that maybe you can't just do away with the older generation. They have a lot of experience that we, the young ones, need. So what you can do is that you can maybe resign them to just supervisory level so that they can give a lot of advice, they can give direction behind the scenes, then the youth take charge and then be able to lead. But the youth cannot do without their advice and their counsel. It's very important. And you need both hands on deck to be able to move forward and build the party and contest competitively in 2028.
Talking about 2028, can the NPP win the 2028 election if it maintains the current crop of leaders?
That would be very difficult.
Why?
It will be very difficult because I believe that unless, of course, those of them who made mistakes are able to realize this mistake and redress it and to be able to win back confidence of their political party. That is one. But the entire Ghanaian population as a whole. Because when you look at elections, it's not just about the core group of your supporters voting for you. If the core group of NPP supporters vote for them, they can't get 50+1. They will definitely need to tap into the floating voter population to be able to cross the +1 vote. And one thing is building internally, but another thing is rebranding to win the confidence of the Ghanaian voter. So those are two different levels. And they have to do one track and do the other, or they do it simultaneously.
Right.
So I think it's an uphill task.
Right. My final question to you. Would the apology appeal to the floating voters you mentioned? Public apology. We've not done well in the past 8 years, and so Ghanaians forgive us. This is not the first time we've seen that. I remember somewhere Cecilia Bannerman and co. Publicly apologized. Will this change anything for the NPP?
To some extent, apology can be an expression of remorse, right? And saying that I've regretted what I have done, I won't do it. But what's the guarantee that it may be sincere? What's the guarantee that it's not just meant to win your vote? And what's the guarantee that the one apologizing behave in ways that suggest that he has actually been remorseful and wouldn't repeat it? So just merely saying the words doesn't mean anything. It's putting the word into action and sincerely winning back the confidence of the Ghanaian population. So I think it's two things. Just saying I'm sorry and keep repeating what you have done and keep apologizing won't win confidence back, right? So you have to walk the talk in this particular sense.
Thank you so much, Doc. Let me go to Richard Ahiagba. How do you intend to approach this apology thing?
Thank you very much. I was just going to say a few things, but I just see you don't have time.
Yeah.
But I think that I disagreed slightly. I just hold a different view on disclosing the content of the report. I don't think that it is done. It shouldn't be done. And then also to make the point that my Prof. Alidu mentioned that he hasn't seen the report. And so I want to say that the references that we are seeing on social media are fake. There are no part of the report that is circulating, page 66 or 29 or whatever. But the report in its proper form is not a public document. I think that it is guiding us to reform. The recommendations are being implemented, and I think that that's how it ought to be. We shouldn't make it public whatsoever. But the matter of expressing remorse, and I think that that is just in order for the party to do. I think our general secretary has said that a few times, and on the tour that is being repeated. I think that we will overcome all these challenges.
So you use the tour basically to apologize to Ghanaians. Is that it? Or are you going to write formally to Ghanaians that you are sorry?
Well, you know, so much of the issue, if we're talking about apologies, really, what is there to apologize for? As far as the management of the economy, the matters to do with governance, there hasn't been any. I don't think that necessarily is something we're apologizing for, because look, the difficulties that we faced, even for DDEP, apologies have been rendered. People have said things, but right from the outset, there was that honest recognition that it's a difficult thing.
So, what is the apology for specifically?
Largely, it's internal. Probably some of the matters that went on. We have internal elections and difficulties associated with that. There's evidence that people have shot. Change people in the electoral process, it's selecting of polling station executives, selection of constituency executives, relationships within the party. People got too preoccupied with their work in government and never kept touch with their constituency members of the party. And there were internal matters.
So basically the apology is an internal one.
I think by and large, but nationally, in terms of managing the economy, I hold the humble view that the government did the best it can under the circumstances.
You don't need to apologize to Ghanaians for the way you run the economy.
Well, I'm telling you, I think my brother OPK just gave you a very good example of how things have not changed, how in actual fact things have worsened under the NDC. So the only way you apologize is that you set out to do Ghanaians in.
Right.
But that is not the motive.
Unfortunately, I'm running out of time.
Just one small point. Yeah. But honestly, the goal of the government under the difficult circumstances that we were operating was to do right by Ghanaians. And if you look on the horizon, even in the West, the challenges that came with COVID and the attendant matters of Russia, Ukraine affected a lot of incumbent governments that lost elections. So we're not an isolated case, but it was a difficulty. We owned up, we tried to do our best. Our best, perhaps today, as we speak, is showing to be at least good enough, because we're going to see a difficult few years ahead, seeing that the NDC have not started well and the economy is not turning, it's turned the corner, but what they are managing, the way they are managing the economy, I'm afraid they're not going to be able to keep up the trajectory we left them.
Right, let me bring in Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. Let me give you the final word. Do you see a future for the NPP in 2028 winning the elections?
Well, firstly, the party has a future. This is a party that the founding fathers knew exactly what they wanted. And if you carefully look at those who are the founding fathers, I'm talking about the founding fathers, not myself, the founding fathers. People like B.J. Darocha, people like J.H. Mensah, people like Aram Ponsa.
Right.
Can you believe these are people who went to their graves without any property? I'm always saying that, and if there's anyone, the person should come and challenge me.
All right. Doc?
They gave their time and life to the party. So why should you now come and destroy the party?
All right.
Now, if you want to lead the party without money, you can't lead the party. How on earth is that?
All right. Doc, I think the point has been made. We appreciate you so much for sharing your time here with us on The Probe. Now, healing after humiliation actually requires more than just words. It demands deep reflection and action. Will the NPP find it within itself before 2028, or will history repeat itself? My guests tonight have been Dr. Ali Dusedu, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, Davis Ansah-Poku, and Richard Anyagba. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. My name is Carlos Caloni. This has been The Probe. A Walk with Jesus is up next on radio. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.